Drafting and Cutting a Bonnet by Share Our World. Hi, this is Trace from Share Our World, and today we are going to do a quick bonnet. Use 2 fat quarters because one of our pieces is just a fat quarter. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the selvage off so it washes nicely. And I always draft my pattern directly onto my fabric. You can do it onto a piece of paper, but I don't find any reason to. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my fat quarter and I'm going to fold it in half the hot dog way, so the long way like that. And then I am going to take a Sharpie. You can take anything, but I personally am going to use a Sharpie. And I am going to draw a more or less circle. It doesn't have to be super precise. It just needs to take some of the fabric out. Probably the most important part of this is there's fabric gone out of it. And you can see I'm going to take that bit of fabric out, so it just makes the top of the hat a little bit less full. And I could do this with scissors and just cut along there, but I'm not going to. I'm going to use my rotary cutter. Now you have the full body of the hat right there. That's all. That's what we do to the back of the hat. Now we're going to do the brim. The brim is a tad bit more complicated, but not super more complicated. And I need 2 pieces cut out for the brim. This isn't quite enough for that, which is the reason why I need a full half yard of fabric. My brim needs to be 7 inches, 7 inches. 7 is fine. This actually is 8, which is fine. And I need 15 inches, this is much longer than 15 inches. And I'm going to cut it down a little bit anyway, so you can get away with as little as 12 inches, but not much less than 12 inches. So I'm going to cut another 7-inch piece off of my fabric. Just do the clip and snip. Clip and rip. Here we go. Clip it. I'm going to rip it. My daughter hates this, so if she's watching, I'm sorry. Now I have 2 pieces of fabric that work just fine. This one I am going to draft on a piece of paper for you just to show you how to do it. You certainly don't have to. I don't usually. I just recreate this pattern every time because it's fast to recreate. So a piece of paper is 8.5 by 11. I am going to actually draw this on this is going to be half of it, and my ruler is 6.5 inches. So I'm just going to eyeball that up another 1/2 inch to make this 7 inches. Right there. And I know this is 8.5, so I want to take this down another inch. So I'm going to, so this is half of my brim pattern. So this is 7. There's 7, and by 7.5, just like that. And the first thing I'm going to do for my brim is I'm going to come up 1.5 inches, 2 inches. I like 2 inches here. And I'm just going to make a mark right here at 2 inches, which gives me 5 inches. And that's how wide my brim at this point is going to be. So you can see I have this here. This is 5 inches there, because this is 2 inches. And this is going to come down, and it's going to come down in a curve and go up to that 2-inch mark. And this, again, this is not super critical. It's not This is not going to make or break your bonnet. It just gives you a place to be. Then I'm going to start here, and you notice I have a 90-degree angle. I have to maintain that 90-degree angle. Then I am going to just draw a curve down to there. And you notice it's not a like, oh my goodness, brilliant curve. I sometimes like it a bit wider here, more circular, but literally this doesn't matter that much. And after you've made a couple, you will find that you have a particular shape of brim you like. The reason why I go with this shape of brim is it feels when I put it on like a baseball cap. And in some ways, that's what I'm looking for in a bonnet. I would like it to feel kind of like a baseball cap. Now I'm going to cut 2 of these on the fold. Here's my on the fold mark. There's my fold right here. Right there on the fold. And I'm also going to cut one out of a stiffener. My particular stiffener of choice today looks like an iron-on piece of Pelon. Now, I am going to fold this. And as you can see, I'm going to fold it about the same size as my hat brim. And then I'm just going to put a pattern weight on here, and I am going to cut it with my rotary cutter. If you are doing it with scissors, the way I would do this if I were doing it with scissors is I would cut this out with paper scissors. I don't see my paper scissors, so I'm going to cut it out with my rotary cutter. My rotary cutter has seen worse things today. Now I have that as my brim. And I would take this, if I were cutting this out with scissors, I would take this and I would trace it on here. I wouldn't cut it out with this. I would just give it a quick trace, like this. Like this. See, there I have it traced on here, and then I would cut it out with my shears, but I'm going to cut out my rotary cutter. It's just faster. And I'm trying to get this tutorial up kind of fast because I told my friend I would put it up today. Dull blade. As you can see, I just cut paper with it, so that would make it a little bit duller. Now I have 2 hat brims, and they kind of look like this. They are a match set because I cut them out together. There you go. And when I iron onto Pelon, I do not cut it out first. I just use a silicone mat on top of it. So I'm going to take this over to my ironing board, and I am going to iron this right onto here. Then I'm going to come back and cut it out with my rotary cutter. That way I know it's an exact fit. I just put a silicone mat on top of that, so I'm not getting glue on my iron, because nobody loves that. I have 2 more things I need to cut out prior to sewing. And these 2 are both going to be kind of my leftover piece. In this particular case, my leftover piece is 17 inches. I think this whole pattern doesn't require you to be super picky. I'm just going to make two 2.5-inch snips, and I'm going to do a quick rip. These are going to be the ties of my bonnet. So this is my silicone sheet. Here's my piece, and this is my pillow. You put the left side up on the pillow because the left side is where the glue is, and you don't want the glue sticking to your ironing board. Now I'm going to put my silicone sheet over the top of it, and I'm just going to run my hot iron. And I like to do a count of 4 or 5. My iron is pretty hot. I'm just running my hot iron. I actually can see the piece through my silicone sheet, but not all silicone sheets are as see-through as this particular one. That's gotten pretty hot. As you can see, I have to peel it off, and that's nice and stuck. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my piece that I've cut this curve on. See, here's my curve. And I am going to, let's move my cord out of the way so it's out of harm's way. And I am going to iron this up by about 1/2 inch. You can see how accurately I measured that. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this up about 3 inches. I might measure this one, but honestly, probably not. This is, the bottom part of this will be what covers your neck. And the top part of this is going to be a casing for elastic. There's that. That's all the ironing I have to do on that. We'll put that on the floor. This may be the most complicated ironing, but even at that, it's not that complicated. We're going to just run a quick, and that is all of the ironing I need to do for now. Now, as you might remember from the ironing board, I have ironed my rim piece onto a piece of Pellon. I am going to take this and I'm going to cut it out right along the edge of that, which means that it's super easy to make that Pellon the right size because it already is the right size. So I'm just going to cut right along that edge there without cutting anything underneath this. That would be good. Because it's always better to cut with your scissors all the way down on your flat surface than it is to cut in the air. You have a lot more control when you have your scissors on a flat surface, your scissors actually leaning on a flat surface. You just have a lot more control of your scissors. And here I am cutting off this other side. And a lot of times I would do this with my rotary cutter like I did originally, but it's fine. Now I have 2 pieces of my brim. 2 pieces of my brim. I have 2 pieces for my ties. I have the back body, and I have a little 5-inch piece of elastic, and this is probably 6 inches, but not a super long piece of elastic, which is all I will need to finish out this bonnet.
Thank you for watching Share Our World.